Let's go. Unstoppable kick-ass confidence. Are you ready?
Welcome to the Raw and Unscripted show with Christopher Rausch, where we help you overcome your self-created crap without the self-help fluffy bullshit. Now please welcome our host, Christopher Rausch.
And please welcome our host, Christopher Rausch. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Hello, hello, hello. It is Tuesday night, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and you know we are live every single week here on Tuesday with the Raw and Unscripted show. I am your host, Christopher Rausch, the No Excuses Coach, broadcasting live from Southern California, where it is not sunny, by the way. And here's a weather report, just in case you were interested. It's raining outside. Haha. Welcome to the show, guys. If you're watching us live or on the replay, appreciate you. And if you're not watching us, you might be listening to us on the podcast. So thank you very much for subscribing to the podcast. I think we're in 9 different countries now. So thank you from everybody all over the world. I appreciate you guys digging the Raw and Unscripted message, the No Excuses message. We got a lot of exciting stuff for you in store this year on the show, both this show, the Raw and Unscripted show, and my other show, The Unfiltered Experience, of course, on Friday nights at 5 p.m. So thank you guys for honoring me, whether you're live or on the replay. Thank you. And the one thing I want to stress the most is, as you are watching this and listening to this, if you feel like there's a part of the conversation you want to chime in on, you guys can always do that. We could do this little thing right here where we could show your comments up there. You can ask questions, you could chime in, and I'll be happy to engage those, because this is basically a conversation with me and my guest at a bar or at a coffee shop, whatever you prefer, having a couple of drinks. We're having an amazing conversation, just talking back and forth about what it is that we can do to elevate ourselves, to increase our confidence, and therefore increase our happiness and our success, and therefore increasing our impact in the world to make it a much better place. And that's what you guys know I do this for every single week, is to make the world a better place by inspiring you guys to think differently about your past, present, and your future. That's the most important thing. We're in a brand new year. It's 2023. Hallelujah. Thank you very much. And I'm looking forward to this year, not for the news and the politics, but I'm looking forward to it for the fact that we have another opportunity here to grow ourselves and to go through the hero's journey. As I was just talking to my guest here just a moment ago, if you have never seen this or heard about this, the hero's journey, it's called Finding Joe. It's completely free. You can go on YouTube. It's about an hour and 20 minutes, I think, but it's an amazing documentary talking about how we all go through the peaks and valleys of our life. And so oftentimes I hear my coaching clients coming to me and they're saying, like, Chris, I'm tired of going through these challenges. I'm tired of these valleys. You know, when am I just going to actually make it in my life and actually just be stable and secure and everything else? And to that answer I have for you, you won't, because life is always going to continue to deal you challenges and opportunities. And as you look back on your life, I ask you this question: when have you learned and grown the most? When have you learned and grown the most? When things were easy? Did you learn and grow much when things were easy, or when things were challenging and fucked up? Of course, when things are challenging, that's when you learn and grow the most. And when you look back on that, have you applied the lessons of that challenge in your life today so that you don't go through it again? Yes or no? Hopefully you said yes. Sometimes we have to go through the challenges a few times to kind of realize what's going on for the better part of our growth and our opportunities. So think about that. So when you are faced with a challenge and an adversity, look at it as an opportunity for growth. What am I supposed to learn from this? What am I supposed to gain from this? Do not run away from it, ladies and gentlemen, because it'll chase you down like a coyote after a cat. You got to look at it and say, what am I supposed to learn from this? And then go head on into that and know that you're going to make it out of there, and you're going to get through that valley, and you're going to get back up to a peak, and you're going to be like, oh, I made it. And then you're going to look back and go, thank you for having that opportunity for me to go through that challenge, because then we grow. I look back on my life and I've had so many different challenges. I've had so many rough times where I wanted to give up. That's why I'm the No Excuses Coach. That's why I quote unstoppable all the time, because I am unstoppable. I may fall down for a moment. I may get pissed off. It's not easy, but then I sit there and I look at it, and I look at my tattoo on my arm, which says, what doesn't kill me makes me stronger. If you guys want to see it, it's right there. Right there. For those of you guys in podcast land, you guys can't see that, but there's a tattoo I put on my arm back in 2016, not too long ago, where I was going through a dark time of my life, and I was ready to give up coaching. I was ready to give up everything. And fortunately, I sat there and said, every day is a new day, Chris, and what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And that's the truth. I've been through so much adversity in my life. I am strong as hell. And I know, even though I've been through all those adversities, that I'm going to continue to face those as I get older, as my son has challenges, as everything goes on in the world. But I know that I'm equipped to handle those and go through those because of my perspective, because of my mindset, and because of the people I surround myself with. And ladies and gentlemen, we got Dr. Lauren Michaels Harris in the house. What's up, Lauren? Thank you for being here. He says, good evening, superstar. So thank you for being here, brother. I appreciate that. And talking about mindset, I have the pleasure of having on my show tonight a gentleman that I met about a decade ago at a rock star mastermind here in Southern California. We immediately became fast chums. I got an opportunity to star in one of his workout videos, a P90X video. I drove up to the San Fernando Valley and had a great time doing P90X in his garage and filming that. And it was a great time, I got to tell you. And he's just a tremendous soul. He has his own podcast out there, and he's just making a difference in the world in a positive way. So please welcome to the Raw and Unscripted Show, Mr. Brian Kelly. What's going on, Brian Kelly? Welcome to the Raw and Unscripted Show, brother.
My goodness, I was just about to say you haven't made it until you're on the Raw and Unscripted Show. So I can now say I've made it, baby.
Yes, you have made it, baby.
Yes.
Well, thank you for being here, brother. I appreciate that. And how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing fantastic. You got my memory going with when we first met. I remember we were at this, it was like a business seminar.
I don't know if he's freezing or am I freezing.
What's that?
Who's freezing?
Breathing?
Tell me, guys. Lauren, who's freezing? Me or him?
Freezing. Oh,
I don't think I'm freezing.
I don't see any freezing going on.
What's going on, Brian?
Just living the dream. Can you hear me?
Brian Kelly.
Hello.
What's going on, Brian Kelly?
I'm here.
Where did you go?
I'm here. No one has freezing. So John says we're all good. You can't hear me though, huh, Chris?
Dude, I can't hear you.
That look. There we go.
Are you there?
I'm here.
Margaret, it's me. Are you there?
Yes. I'm here. I'm talking. Uh-oh. Yeah. Christopher did say he was having some issues with his internet. It's funny because so was I, if you all can still see and hear. We're both in Southern California. He's a little bit farther south than I am, but we got hit hard by a wind and rainstorm, and it took our internet out overnight and into the late morning. So I think that's what's going on with him. I'm sure he's just refreshing his browser.
I just want to put you on the spot, buddy. I just want to see how well you were able handling pressure under. No, something's going on with my internet. It's weird because my computer showed it was fine, and all of a sudden the screen started doing some weird shit. I don't know. There's some electricity in the air. Let's just go with it. So once again, starting from the top, welcome to the show, Brian Kelly.
Thank you
for being here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was
I jarred your memory. What did I jar your memory with?
Yeah, man, it was back from when we did first meet. It was about a decade ago, and it was like this business seminar. And I remember we were standing in that little room afterward, only the special people get to stand in. And I saw this one dude in there. He's like wearing this red bandana. He's got chains and jeans. And I'm like, who the heck does this guy think he is? And we started talking. I was like, I love this guy. So it's so funny how they talk about first impressions. It's really important what goes through your mind when you see somebody to filter that out until you see them. I always say everyone is my best friend until they prove me otherwise.
Nice. Well, it's a pleasure to have you on the show, and it's been a great time since then, and we wish all those people well, of course. So talk to me, man. Who is Brian Kelly, and what brings you to the Raw and Unscripted Show today? What's your message you want to get across to people tonight? And let's talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, you hit on a few things in the opening that was powerful already. And things like I could relate with things like, how many times have you ever wanted to give up? And I was like, oh my God, how much time do you have? It's like all the time, not every single day, but very often with life events, with business events that don't go your way. And one message I always like to give out is it's real simple, but it's not easy. It's never, ever, ever, ever give up, ever, no matter what. And, the worst people you can listen to, unfortunately, are typically those closest to you. It's so screwed up, but they love you and they want the best for you. They're not trying to bring you down, but they're trying to do the best for you. They just don't realize they're shattering your dream most of the time when they're talking to you to say, well, why don't you just stop doing it? You're so pissed off all the time. It's like, okay, that wasn't the point. That wasn't the point. No. So yeah, just don't give up. Keep persevering. And don't give up on your dream. Don't give up. Just keep going. Do what you have to do to keep it going. Get in line with Christopher Rausch. Have a chat with him. He'll bring you back up. He'll give you the tools. He's been through it all. He's been through hell and back on this planet. And I know from knowing him personally and from listening to your stories on Raw and Unscripted and other places, and your walk-in talks, man, those are awesome. So
thank you.
Yeah, just don't give up, people. Keep going. Keep fighting the fight, because look, if you don't keep going and you're out there serving other people, you are literally doing a disservice by not doing service.
Yes.
I'm going to trademark that.
So tell us about a time where you wanted to give up. You mentioned it a few times that you wanted to give up. Tell us about a specific time where maybe you were at your lowest of lows. You wanted to give up. You're like, fuck this shit. I don't want to do it anymore. I give up. I'm throwing in the towel. But then something happened. What was it that you applied? What was the situation? What was it you applied to get yourself out of that stuck situation? Because I do disagree in a short sense. And I talked to somebody about this the other day. I always say don't give up. But sometimes if it's the wrong thing that we're going towards, then I do say give up. If we're doing something for somebody else's interest, or we're doing something just for our ego's sake, then I say give up and do something that lights your heart on fire. So talk to us about a time where you were down and out and you were thinking like, okay, I just can't do this anymore. I'm going to give it up and I'm going to go do something else. But you decided to implement something to make it successful. What was that about?
And I totally agree. It is completely okay to quit, especially if under the same guidance you just gave. Yeah, very recent, it was a family event where my dad, who's 86 now, is suffering advanced dementia, and he was getting scammed out of a large sum of money. And shorten the story up is everyone around him, including yours truly, who told him he was being scammed, immediately became his brutal enemy. And he called me his best friend growing up, as a young adult. And so this was pretty like smack in the face. His wife, my stepmom, had just passed away a few months prior. So scammers target the elderly. They look at the obits and see how old you are, and they start, his phone was ringing off the hook. So he had a weapon in his house, and he had one in his car. I stopped seeing him because he was not in his right mind, and he was pissed off at me. And I'm 20 minutes away, so I'm the only family member close by. I staked him out in my car from far away so he couldn't see me. He has advanced dementia. He was diagnosed. It was sent to the DMV. His license was not valid, but he had a card in his wallet, so he thought it was valid. He could literally have hurt somebody, and I'm sitting there following the guy. Like it was one of those lowest of the lows of my entire life with the stress. It was 2 months solid trying to cut off his phone so the scammers could quit calling him. So he'd stop stuffing stashed in envelopes and sending them to them cash.
Wow.
I follow him to the bank, and then I go up to the teller, go, he's being scammed. Don't give him the money. He looked up, and boy, I thought he was if he had a gun right there, he probably would have fired. And that's not my dad. It's just, that's the way it was. And at that moment, and many times through that, I kept telling myself, it's like, you know what? This is all happening for a reason. This is the lowest of the lows. And I'm going to do the best I can to embrace this challenge. And I know that when I come out of this, that any other issue that comes up in my life is going to be child's play compared to this.
Yep.
And I'll just let it roll off my back. And that's what I decided to do. He's now safe, away from harm, in a home. And I still do take care of him in not every single day, but often I go to see him. But he's at an undisclosed location just in case the scammers. They sent a taxi cab to pick him up, Christopher. I mean, after I shut off his phone. I got his phone shut off, and that was an act of Congress to get that done. I got his cell phone shut off, and right after that, they sent a taxi cab to pick him up to go shopping.
Isn't that illegal?
Second time. They were coming to pick him up, take him out in the desert, and be done with that, so there's no more evidence. And we just said, that's it. We got him out of the house. We gutted the house. My brother came from Arizona, helped us. We sold it. This is in a 2-month time span, 2 to 3 months, all of this. So it was a whirlwind of just absolute stress and horrible stuff, while still trying to keep the business going, the show going, come in here with a lot of energy and going, holy crap, this is hard. You know what happened, Chris, is the show and my business was the light of my life at that time. And I love that was another thing. It was a proving moment to say, I am doing what I should be doing, because it made me happy. It was like a break. Thank God I'm not dealing with that right now.
Right. So what was your mindset during that? I mean, going through those dark periods, especially with your dad, thinking about that, I've got a lot of my friends who are seeing their parents age and getting older and going through medical situations. Unfortunately, my mom passed away 10 years ago. The rest of my family is gone. So I don't necessarily have to worry about that from my perspective. I got to worry about from my family's perspective. But talk to us about that, because I know some friends that are listening to this right now who are experiencing some of that. I got a friend up in Canada. She takes her dad to chemo or to dialysis like 5 days a week. It's 5 hours a day. It's ridiculous. It's the only thing that's keeping him alive. And she's at her wit's end. She's like, Chris, I just want him to be happy, and there's nothing I can do. Talk to us about that. How do you process that, my friend?
The only thing I could do for myself was to do it one step at a time.
Yeah.
You can create a story. So many of us make up these stories, not only of ourselves, but what other people are thinking when we have no idea what they're thinking, when they responded a certain way. And just take it one step at a time, one victory moment at a time. I took him to get dialysis. Good. He's good for the day. That's a victory, and sit on that and be happy with it. And then I got home safely. I get to live life in some normalcy in between. Take it one step at a time. With my dad and doing all those things I just mentioned, that's what I kept saying to my brother. We can only do this one step at a time. I cannot process all the stuff that we got to do in the future, which was selling the house and everything that was going to go with it. I mean, power of attorney, so many things, Chris, I cannot begin to tell you. And that was the greatest challenge that I think was there for me, not against me, that I've ever gone through in my life. I'm now, much more thicker skin. I'm not perfect. I was pissed off. I was swearing. I was a jerk to be around, I'm sure, to my wife at times, because I can only take so much. Yeah. Just one step at a time. And, lean on those that love you. Don't lean on them, but, be there and accept their love, accept their support in any way they give it to you.
Mm-hmm. I love that, Brian. Thank you for sharing that with me. And thank you for being raw and vulnerable and unscripted. I think back to the time when my mom was sick for the last 2 years of her life. And it got to a point where I didn't want to bother my wife with things. My mom was a major pain in the ass. She was very, very difficult. And I worked in Orange County, lived here in Riverside. So I was doing a 200-mile round trip every day. I was going from here to my job, from my job to my mom, or then to my mom's, taking care of her animals, and then sometimes going to her hospital and seeing her, and then coming home. And literally, I had to go back to this crazy philosophy, I guess, if you want to call it. When I was rewiring my Dodge Charger downstairs, I was overwhelmed. I was rewiring my power windows. I was moving the switches to the center. I was doing a bunch of stuff, and I've done it before. And I know that, 12 volts is not scary and everything. And I was just overwhelmed. I was just looking at all the wires, and I was like, oh my God, I just don't feel like I can do this. And then something in my brain said, Brian, you love this. It said, Chris, one wire at a time. One wire. Is this the ground wire? Okay, put that to ground. Is this the power wire? Put that to the power. Try one window. Don't try to put them all together. Just try one. Does it go up? If it goes up, great. Okay, if it goes up when you press down, then switch it and just take everything one wire at a time. When I was going through that stuff, I was doing 200 miles a day, working my day job. I was so burned out, dude. And I literally got to the point, okay, right now I just got to make it from here to there safely. Because when I was coming back from there, I was sometimes drinking, God's honest truth, not proud of it, just to get through it. And I was like, let me just get to one space to one space to one space. Because sometimes, Brian, we stand back and we're like, oh my God, there's so much. And then what do? We run the other direction. We go to our short-term gratifications to run away from it, hoping, wishing, and praying that something else is going to happen and it's going to change. And it never changes. So I love that you talk about that. Tell us about the resiliency component of being strong and independent, and the fact of how we can overcome our self-limiting beliefs. So often we think and we tell ourselves, we actually program ourselves stupidly, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. And I tell people, if you can't do it, like Henry Ford said, either you can or you can't. You're right. Talk to us about that. How do we eliminate some of those self-doubts and those self-limiting beliefs?
Interesting. I personally don't have that in me. I don't ever say I can't do this. I might for a moment, but it's not the big picture. It's just, I'm going to deal with it one step at a time, period. Another flavoring to add to that whole thing was a year prior, literally on the previous February, actually 1 month after that, March, my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer.
I remember that. Yeah.
And she went through chemo and was going through radiation when my dad was going through this. So I came home to my wife who's suffering, and my dad is like, geez. So it was a lot to handle, and I'm a Christian, and God will never give us more than we can handle.
Sure.
Sometimes I wonder, and I question that, and I ask him, I'm not
like, are you sure about me? Are you sure about me?
Am I
still seen me lately?
Yeah. Am I still in the in crowd with that? But it made me stronger, and just having the forethought to think about these things when I needed to is like, it's going to make me stronger. I can do this one step at a time. If I need help, I reach out. I called my brother a lot. He was in Arizona, and Smart. I'd run everything by him. We were a team. And that helped greatly to have someone. He wasn't here physically, which, my God, that would have been great, but he wasn't. And it's not his fault. I chose to live here closer to my parents than he did. And that had no bearing on anything. It was just, you do with what you have. You do with what you got. Mm-hmm. And you just, I don't know. My wife, a long time ago, she ended up, this was a long time ago before we had kids, she started having chest pain. And I thought, had I not known how I was going to react, I thought I would freak the hell out, because this is my why. This is my everything. This is my wife. And she was having chest pains. And I thought, what the weirdest thing happened, Chris, was I realized I have a nurse that lives next door to us. Without any emotion of freaking out, I picked up the phone and said, hey, my wife's having chest pain. Can you come over? Next call was 911. And I'm sitting there watching her. I'm helpless. I don't know what the hell to do, but I'm not freaking out. I didn't know I'd react that way. I figured I wouldn't. If I were to look back and go, how do you think you would react? I'd go, geez, Louise, I'd be pulling
I would have
hair out.
lost my shit.
Yeah. Oh, completely. It was weird. You just don't. So I think part of it is wiring, but if that's an issue for people, is to just kind of sit back, like you said, one wire at a time, one step at a time. Just take a deep breath, look at what's right in front of you, the next step that needs to be rectified, and just concentrate on that, and know that you're going to be one step closer to the full solution each and every step of the way.
Yes, I love that, man. I love that. I have so many different examples of how I've been in the same situation where I thought I wouldn't be able to handle, but it's true, especially when you actually have the attitude. I think it all starts with the attitude. It's like, have the attitude that you can go through anything that possible and that you're going to survive it. And as long as you take it one piece at a time, one chunk at a time, you're going to progressively make it through that. And that's that compound interest. Darren Hardy wrote a book called, I can't remember what is, it's not in here, but Darren.
Effect.
Yeah, the compound effect. You know it. You're smart, dude. Amazing book. It talks about when you do those little bitty things, those things build up that resiliency, that confidence, that perspective to sit there and take, hey, listen, and you did a smart thing. You did a smart thing that most people don't do, is you reached out for help. Most of us, like myself, I raised my hand. I didn't want to bother my wife. She got mad at me. She's like, you don't involve me. And I said, I'm trying not to include you in this because it's so stressful. I figure I could just take it on myself and handle it. And then ultimately I was like, okay, can I ask you to do this? Can you go to my mom's place today and take care of the animals? She goes, sure. You know, I know she didn't like it, but she did it. And God, I had a break. It was like one day where I didn't have to go do that 200-mile journey. I came home and I was like, okay, I get just to be me for a few hours, you know, get a little bit of respite. So it's important to ask for help. It's not and people see it as a weakness. Like, oh, if I have to ask for help, that means I can't handle it. And I've been that way most of my life, but it's a sign of strength to be able to say, listen, I care about myself this much. And I know that people are out there and want to help me. And I'm going to reach out to those people and lean on them. And that way it can get through it together, and together we can become stronger. So I love the fact that you said that.
Asking for help is a recipe for success, because that's true in business. If you myself, every entrepreneur that embarks knows we can do it all. We can. Why the hell would you want to, though? Because having been through it now too many times, thinking I can do this all by myself. And I finally reached out and got help. I got full-time VAs. And I thought, oh my God, why didn't I do this so long ago? And now it's like, I don't need to do that. Help. I don't need to do that. Help. I can do that, but I don't want to. Help. I can get more done quicker and build the business on things that I should be concentrating more on. Same with life is, with me, I did not, I didn't ask my wife for help. She's going through her own hell, so I didn't have that extra, but I did have my brother. And I just took what I could. And I had friends coming out of the woodwork saying, we'll help you. And, if I needed it, I would definitely pick up the phone and then thank them profusely. But yeah, help is so vital. And we as human beings, I want to, Chris, if you're in trouble and you call me, I'm there.
Yes.
I had that workout thing. You came many miles to my garage to work out and supported me. That's what friends do. And
I was hungover as hell.
What's that?
I said I was hungover as hell.
Oh, were you? I didn't even know.
Didn't you see me sweating and struggling? Yeah.
Oh, that's just most people who try to work out. That was awesome. But yeah, that's what friends are for, is to help each other. And they actually are happy that you reach out and ask them for help. I know I am. It's like, oh, I'm humbled that you're even asking. Absolutely. Yes. I would love to help you. Yeah.
I mean, that's what I tell my friends. I sit there and I find out that they go through this stuff and I'm like, I was here for you. Like, I just didn't want to bother you. I know you got a lot of things on your plate. I'm like, I love to help people. I love to be able to be a part of the solution, so you can have a little bit of respite and be able to look back and say, wow, we did it as a community. We did it together. But so oftentimes we get in that Lone Ranger status, like, oh, I think I could just do it on my own. And that's not the case. We have Mr. John Brokus in the house, Mr. Jock, one of my dear friends and mentors. He said, it was hard for me to ask for help, and it changed when I did. Now I have staff I trust. 100%. And I know that's challenging to be able to trust your staff and delegate, brother, but you did it. You did it. We got Robert in the house. Robert's insane. He says, hey, Christopher and Brian, thank you for being here, brother. John says here, he goes, pivoting as a superpower, big time. And that's super important. So my next question I want to talk to you about, Brian, is fear. What are you afraid of? What is Brian afraid of?
Dying and not having given my all.
So how does that equate into your everyday existence, and how to use that as leverage for your superpower to continue going on?
Yeah. How can I help more people? And included in that is building the business, which isn't directly helping people at every moment, but it is a stepping stones, like we've been talking about all along, is the more pebbles I stack, the more steps that I complete, the closer I get to serving and helping more people. So it's all in the momentum like you're talking about. And yeah, I'm one of the most driven people I know, because I'm about the only person I know.
You know
I'm
me.
kind of a recluse. No, but seriously, yeah, I'm very driven and I love what I get to do. And the driving force has always been, and I didn't know this till later in life, that my true driving force was helping others to a fault where, you know, they'll say you should charge for that. I know, but sometimes I just want to do it because I got a friend in need and I'm going to do it. However, I feel like my cup fills up by helping people just as much without getting money and sometimes more. It's not always transactional with me. It's transaction is I help somebody and they get the result they're looking for. Then I feel like I planted just one little seed. I had one little part in it. I'm not going to take any massive credit for it whatsoever. I might have just nudged them in the right direction, but at least I had some input into redirecting them into a direction that gave them success.
I love that. You have a big enough why. I tell people all the time, when you have a big enough why, you have a big enough how. And that's why it's so important. Like I tell people who watch the show and listen to the show before, is the fact that when you have a legacy that you're building every single day when you wake up and you're empowered and you're inspired to fulfill that legacy. If this is the last thing I ever do and my son comes and watches it, he's going to know that dad was on point. And I did that so much to the point back in 2008. I don't know if I ever told you this, but I wrote up my own eulogy. I went to a funeral of a friend of mine and a friend of a friend, and I went there to pay my respects, as we do. And I was sitting in the back of the church and I watched person after person go up there and eulogize this person who I had no idea had so much impact in so many people's lives. And I thought to myself, like, if I died tomorrow, and this was back when I was 30, 31, something like that. If I died tomorrow, who would show up and what would they say? And God's honest truth, I figured 10 or 15 people would show up with cases of Miller Genuine Draft, bottles of Jack Daniels, Bon Jovi, Motley Crue records, and talk about all the stupid shit Chris did. Remember that time Chris did this? Remember that time Chris did that? Remember this time? And then, oh yeah, the sub note to it would be, oh yeah, he was homeless and he became successful and changed the world. And I was like, how can I rewrite that story? So as I was driving home, it was bugging me, Brian. I was like, what can I do? And I went home and I took pen to paper and I wrote out my eulogy on a piece of paper, 8.5 by 11. I left it in my office. I went to go grab a glass of water. I came back into my office and I looked down at it. I'm like, and something just told me to read it, like read it out loud. So I picked up a piece of paper and I'm like, Christopher Rausch, and I got down to this part where it says, Christopher Rausch will have fought for what's right and what's fair. He will have risked for which that mattered. And he will have left the earth a better place for who he was and what he did. And then I read a few more things. And by the time I got done, dude, I had tears, not bawling, but I just had tears coming down my eyes. And I thought, why am I crying? And then I thought to myself, I'm like, because when I fulfill this legacy, that's a pretty kick-ass life. That's a pretty amazing life. And that's before I even joined the mastermind and before I changed from a suit and tie speaker and all the different transformations that I've gone through. It was like, wow, my impact here is going to be my legacy. So that if I wake up every morning and I know that I'm working towards that legacy, I may not be perfect, but I'm going to get there because that why is big enough. So I can find the how. I have to find the how. I can't stop. If I'm going to teach people to be unstoppable, I can't stop either. So I love that. I know that you're a father. I know that you're a father of two beautiful kids who are now grown up adults going to school and having their lives of their own. And I love asking people these questions. What did you learn most about yourself being a parent?
My God, a lot of great things come to mind, not about me, just that I loved having kids and I love kids and I love being around them. But the greatest impact was teaching someone else from, from a different perspective. I'm helping someone else grow in their life and take the direction. I was always a fan of give them the tools, let them decide. And that's how I've kind of gone into my business life. So for an example, I grew up and the only option that I knew of, because that's the only option my parents could teach us, was to go work in a corporate job, get a good job, retire, and then die. They didn't say it that way, but that's the way. I'm like, geez, this is it, huh? Okay, well, I'm going to do my best at it, right? Well, then I learned about this thing called entrepreneurship, and it wasn't too long before you and I met that I actually my eyes saw this stuff. I'm like, wow, these people are amazing. I love this. And I became a seminar junkie. I went, oh my God, I have lanyards. I go on stage and I had 3 of my own summits. I don't know if you knew that, but I have ropes of lanyards. I mean, they became ropes. There's so
I
many
still
of them.
have them in my spare room. I have all my lanyards.
Yeah. And I would put them on stage and put a picture of Mr. T up on the screen with his gold chains and say, I put Mr. T to shame. And the whole thing of that was to say, just show up. But the thing was, I now knew there were two options. I told my kids, look, you can work for someone else, no judgment. You can work for yourself, no judgment. I just want you to know both exist. Here are your choices. You go. I'm not going to say, oh, you should become a doctor like Uncle Joe or whoever. No, let them live their life, but give them the guidance that gives them a chance for a good life. And they have to make their own decisions once they're out. And so far, knock on wood, we've got two great adult kids. My daughter is married. And my son is now moved to Florida and working full time and kicking butt, and couldn't be prouder.
They're already out of school. Oh my God. It seems like just yesterday they graduated from high school. You were taking your son down to San Diego. Oh my God, dude.
28 and 26, brother. 28 and 26.
No way.
Yes. Hard to believe.
That is insane. I remember when they were young. Actually, I mean, I shouldn't be so surprised. My buddy who I used to, excuse me, still got the little COVID stuff. My buddy who I used to work with when I was in the corporate space, I was there for his daughter's birth. His daughter is now a student at UCI Med. I was like, there's no way she is. There's no way she's at school. There's no way. She was Lily. She was just little Lily. Nope, she's an adult now. And I'm like, well, Chris, you're going to be 54 next month. So time has passed, and it's pretty crazy how that happens. But when you think about being a parent, you think about the joys of those experiences. There's obviously a lot of turmoil and challenges. What were some of the challenges you had raising your kids, and what things did you learn from those?
Wow. My biggest challenge was being there, because I had a full-time job and a long commute. And when I got home, I was just wiped.
Yeah.
And
I understand that totally.
I grew up with the old school, just modeled after what I knew from my parents, which was the man is the provider at whatever cost. And for me, that cost was a lot of time with my kids. Dude, I hand put in we have a massive backyard. I hand sodded it. I had help, but we built it ourselves. I put in the plumbing for the sprinkler system. I had it all drawn out on AutoCAD back in the day. So I make sure I got the right amount of water throughout the yard, put in a playground and an area for a pool and all this stuff. And my entire time I was working, I never once saw my kids out in the backyard play. And I'm thinking, I did it for them. And then I am not kidding you. 2 years ago, it was about 2 years ago, I brought it up at a Christmas when everyone's home. And I said, yeah, I just wish you guys would have used that yard more. And like, what are you talking about? We were out there every day. I said, what? Yeah, well, you were at work. I missed it all.
Doesn't that hurt? Oh,
it didn't hurt. It disappointed me that I couldn't be there. I wasn't there. I chose to. I chose this. Now looking back, I'm thinking, what a dumb. I didn't have to do what I did. I just thought that's all there was. So what? It's all experiences that you learn from. And like you were saying in the beginning, what do you do from that experience? How do you learn from it? What do you do differently? And so I learned a lot from corporate. That's been freaking awesome for me and my business. I learned another lot from corporate that I would never emulate or model in my business as well. So it's all great experience. Good or bad is always good. I mean, it's always beneficial. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, no, that's a beautiful answer. I understand that. That's one of the things that I learned. I've always been interviewing parents, even before I had Jackson, because I would look at it from a conditioning standpoint, like thinking about, okay, what gets us from the point we're born to the point we're adults to the point where we're all screwed up. And I started thinking about, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to start seeing how that process goes. How do we go from being kids to being adults, and where is the point that we get screwed up at? And then I started studying child psychology. And then I found out that between the age of 0 and 5 is really when our kids establish their sense of being. They're okay, here are the rules of the world. And what they do is they go out there and they see if they're valid. So like, okay, I think if I open my mouth, everybody's going to tell me to shut up. So if I find somebody that tells me to shut up, then I know I'm not supposed to be heard. And if I'm not supposed to be heard, then I'm going to keep quiet for the rest of my life. And that's going to be the thing that's going to happen. I have this whole chart that I go through with my coaching clients. It talks about how, the conditioning process shapes our emotions shape our feelings shape our actions, and our actions shape our attitude. And that's what we go out and do, pretty much that. And so I started talking to these parents, and they're like, man, I wish I would have been there for my kids when they were younger. And so when I was working corporate, Jackson was 3 years old in 2019, I think it was. Yeah, 2019, he was 3 years old. And I'm so thankful that me and the organization decided to part ways. And November 2019, I'm like, I'm going to go do my coaching and my speaking and my shows all full time. And I'm going to spend time with my son. And it was so amazing. And then COVID happened. And I was so grateful for COVID happening because my son stayed home. And for a year and a half, I got to spend time with him every single day. I had my mother-in-law here, which is another story. I had my mother-in-law here for an hour, year and a half. She got stuck here. She came out here from Chicago to spend the winter with us because it was easier out here. But then COVID hit and like, oh, we'll just wait those 6 weeks and then we'll go home. And because she was, immunocompromised, I guess you call it, she was here for a year and a half. But anyway, the most important thing is I got to spend time with my son every single day. And I'm so, so grateful because had I still been in corporate, I would have been doing the same thing, Brian. That's what I knew is like, keep your job, do hard work, take on more responsibility, get more positions, make more money, buy more shit, be more miserable, die. And so I'm so thankful because I was comfortably miserable. I was making great money, but I was miserable because I wanted to do my coaching and my speaking and everything else off to the side. So ultimately that's great because ultimately now you get to see that and you get to help other people do those same things for yourself or for themselves as well. So thank you for sharing that.
I was very fortunate that I had an incredible wife who also was the most amazing mom on the planet. So I had a security blanket that even though this was part of the model family back then for me was man goes make money, man bring home food, and woman take care of family while man gone. And she did a phenomenal job. One of the best moms you couldn't script it any better. So the kids weren't left out of things except for dad, but we've had the talks. They said, you were a great dad and we have no regrets on our end. I'm like, wow, that was relieving to hear that. Like, and I tell them, I coached their teams. I did whatever I could. I would race home early when I shouldn't be from work and did whatever I had to do to be there as much as I possibly could. And one of my daughter's biggest memories was coaching her in basketball. And I'm like, wow, I coached you in basketball. Oh yeah, I remember now. And yeah, just all good times and just love seeing them. My heart swells up. We just went and saw my son in Florida a couple weeks ago and I almost did a double backflip and I'm 58 and I can't do that stuff anymore. I almost did it though.
That's beautiful, man. I've always loved how you love your family and how you take care of your family. So mad respect on that aspect. Next question I want to talk to you about is I'm the no excuses coach. So I would like to know what your excuses are and then how you overcome your excuses. Because I know I have my own excuses. My big excuse is I don't feel like it. I don't feel like writing my book today. I don't feel like going to the gym today. That's my big excuse. And I have my ways of breaking out of that. So what are your excuses and how do you break out of those?
Yeah, main one would be I don't have the discipline necessary to do stuff. Like I have a book I've been writing for tongue in cheek that I've been writing for 7 or 8 years. And I finally got that itch to get back on the horse. And I've been after that. And I haven't been writing it every day, but darn near every other day. And it's coming close to being finished and I'm getting excited about it. And
what's it about?
You won't believe it. So I have this show called The Mind Body Business Show. And the book is Mind Body Business. What a shocker.
That is really a stupid name, dude. I would not do that. Go after your show. Come on. Really? No, I'm going to write a Raw&Unscripted book too. So it's good. Yeah. So talk to me about it. What's it about? And then talk to me about how you get out of your excuses.
Yeah, it's all the 3 pillars of success that I found in studying successful people, even going back to when you and I met and before. There's so many wonderful things, but I found to a person that people that were more successful than me, let's put it that way, had a very powerful, positive, but most importantly, flexible mindset. That's the mind part. Flexible being the most important of those 3, because if you're flexible, you can obviously make it positive. Body, which is literally taking care of oneself physically and nutritionally. That one's just quick, easy. And then business, which is multifaceted. You need to master skill sets in different areas: sales, marketing, team building, systematizing, leadership, and all this goes on to build and maintain and grow a thriving business. To get out of the excuse, I don't have any system. I just kick myself in the butt and say, you know what? You have a moment in time where you're not completely going pedal to the metal. I don't need to send anything to my team right now. I don't need to set up anything. Like with this show tonight, that was one exception. Chris, I'm going to be full transparent. I couldn't wait. I could not wait to have this time with you. And so I had about a little over an hour of no time where I had allocated to do anything. And I decided to just be in the moment and think about this show. And I also went on YouTube and watched your walk and talk and looked at Facebook and did some studying about you, and just to kind of reunite in a way and be ready for this show.
Reunited and it feels so good.
And it did too, baby.
Is that for you?
But
so
yeah,
do you have a coach in your life that holds you accountable?
I don't have one right now that does that.
You will after the show.
I do have a mastermind group I'm part of that I just joined, and I don't know if they have that component built in. I'm the newbie in the group, so we'll see if that transpires. But I'm really I love them because they're all tech savvy, and I'm an automation freak.
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh, you guys, this is going to get costly, because they're telling us about all these new toys and services. I call them toys. They're awesome, like AI stuff and all kinds of stuff. And I just like, oh, that's going to cost me another $200 a month. Thank you.
But do you like the AI stuff? I mean, I don't follow the news. I don't follow much of that tech stuff. I see a little bit of it here and there, but I just had a buddy of mine telling me, like, watch out, this stuff. They're talking about AI being so intelligent that it's going to fuck us over as humans. Is that true?
If you follow one person, I would put a lot of merit in finding out where no one can predict it, I don't think. But I think one person that has their finger on the pulse, love him or hate him, more than most, would be Elon Musk, because the dude has that photographic memory. He's a super intelligent dude. He works in that space. And so he even said, he thinks it can be dangerous, and we have to put in certain things to ensure that we don't have it take over all of human interactivity. It is a bit scary, to be honest.
I'm frightened that and robots. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. Let's pump the brakes on this. Why do we need to have so much automation? Why do we need to eliminate so many jobs? And what's going to happen with those people? What's going to happen to the world when those jobs are eliminated? I just heard there's a McDonald's out here in Southern California, I think in Barstow or something like that. There's no employees. There's nobody in there. I'm like, how does the food gets made? Apparently, I guess. I didn't read the article because I don't
have robots making it in the back.
What? Yes. Are you serious?
Yes.
When they said no people in the restaurant, I'm like, okay, somebody's got to be fucking flipping the burgers.
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
That is frightening.
It is.
That's why I don't watch that stuff. I just live my life and enjoy my moments from day to day, from point to point. Like you were saying, I don't get caught up in all that other stuff. I don't get caught up in the politics or anything else. I'm like, I may die 3 days from now. Why am I going to worry what's going to happen in 2024? I'm going to enjoy my moments right now.
That's and as far as the AI thing goes, though, my philosophy is learn as much as I can, so I'm aware of what it can do and the dangers that might be inherent, but not looking at it to look for danger, just to be aware if there is any. Looking at it for the positive things, to say, like right now, there's something called Chat GPT, I think is the acronym, that if you type in a phrase, it will give you the answer, and it's ungodly accurate. I had it right. I just said, write an article about neurolinguistic programming, in parentheses, NLP. And it wrote like a 3-page article, and it was dead on accurate. And then I said, wow.
Was it plagiarizing from another source, or was it writing it from its own intelligent mind?
It has stored data since 2021. It does not scrape the internet real time yet. I think it will, but it's got just oodles of information. It's obvious because you can literally tell it to write what's called PHP script, which is website code. Write code to do XYZ for a website, and it will give you the literal code. I haven't done that yet myself. I told my wife I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. That'd be too much for me. I would never come out of my hole here. But I started with like neurolinguistic programming. I said, I wonder if this would work. Write a book on NLP, and it outlined the 7 chapters in the intro. And I said, I wonder if it'll figure this out. I said, write next chapter, not what chapter. Next chapter. It started with number 1, verbatim, what it wrote above, and then expanded on it. I said, right, next chapter. I did it 7 times. It wrote 7 chapters. Unbelievable.
Wow.
And I don't want to use it verbatim, because that's got to be pulled from some source that somebody else wrote at some point in time.
Yeah.
But you can take it, reword it, and make it your own language. Take pieces out of it that are good. You can use it for email ad copy. I'm going through a course on that right now by a guy who concentrated on just the ad copy. I'm like, wow, that's pretty neat. But you got to be careful if you put it out on a website or Facebook ads, that kind of thing. They already have technology that sniffs out what they believe to be AI generated content, and they will penalize you for it. I'm like, are you kidding me? How could they know this already? And then someone else puts up a service that tells you if your content, if all those bots out there will think that what you did is AI generated. Like, it's like,
wow.
When's this gonna stop?
You just blew my mind, Brian.
It's a mind blower. It is. But I would say become knowledgeable in it, whether you embrace it or not. Not you, Chris, but people in general. Be knowledgeable enough to be wise about the decisions you make going forward. There are going to be many to make. Let's just put it that way. And so if you have an informed way of making a decision, you have a better way of making a decision.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's so true. That's scary. We got off on a little tangent there, but I appreciate you for sharing that with me, because that stuff kind of freaks me out. John over here is like all, yeah. I love it. I love it. He says it tries to think like it's human. Yeah. I've seen a little bit of stuff on YouTube and it's just frightening. I literally can't watch it. There was this like one documentary a couple of years ago that was talking about, this is what you like predicting the future. Like this is how life is going to be in 20 years. For the first time in my life, Brian, I stopped it halfway through because I got scared. I got really fucking scared. I was like, I don't want to know this. I'm not going to be around. I don't think I'm going to be around. Well, 20 years I will be, but it just freaked me out. It was like, no. Like, let's keep this world simple and family oriented. And why can't it just seems like it's just, I don't know. It's starting to turn into the Terminator. But anyway, next question.
Exactly.
So you talked about mind, body, and I want to go back to body for a second because you mentioned 58. I'm going to be 54. How are you taking care of your body? What kind of things are you doing at this stage in your life? I met you when we were doing P90X and we were doing all that stuff. We were ripped and doing all that stuff. How are you taking care of yourself now? Because the thing I find, honestly, Brian, and I want everybody to listen to this, so many people say when they come to me and I talk to them, as a coach, as a potential coach, I just did this the other day. I'm like, talk to me. I said, I'm going to ask you a question and I want you to answer me honestly. And the person's sitting there looking at me like, okay, of course I'm going to answer you honestly. And I said, do you love yourself? Yes or no? And they had to struggle with it. And when during COVID, I gave out probably about 200 complimentary coaching sessions as my way of paying it forward. Just something to get people through COVID, no charge, no sales techniques and everything else. And about the 20th one, a little whisper came into my brain, Glenn Morshower and his whispers came into my brain and said, ask them, do they love themselves? And I thought, that's a fucking stupid question, right? Most people love themselves, right? And so I started asking this question. I found out about 75% of the people struggle with loving themselves. And so my next question after that was, talk to me about your self-care. How's your sleep? How's your hydration? How's your nutrition? How's your exercise? And how's your vitamin D? Do you get outside and get sunshine? Found out many people are missing those 5 components because they're going, and they think they're going to be indestructible and they think they're never going to crash. Talk to us about how we can take care of that body and take care of that mind and as a totality in nutrients and everything else, and what things you subscribe to and the things you do.
Yeah, and first I'll tell everybody, you're human. It's okay. I've been through it just recently. I put on 20 pounds, brother, because
I did too.
Yeah, when all this stuff with my dad, well, my wife first, and I just went to shutdown mode as far as taking care of myself, because my responsibility needle went to taking care of others, which was wrong. You have to take care of yourself first, but True. I was not going down that path. I went down the incorrect path. And then everything else started happening, and I just kept getting worse and worse, going down the rabbit hole, drinking too much, not eating as healthy as I used to, not exercising at all sometimes. I mean, sometimes I go 2 weeks without working out, which that was never the case back in the day.
You were fucking 10 days on, man. You were full bore.
Yeah,
I watched those videos.
So I made a pact with myself to get back into it, and then my knee went arthritic on me, and I'm like, dang it, I don't have a pool to go swim in. I got to figure out a way to make this happen. So I went straight to my it's a long story, but I went to physical therapist and surgeon, and gonna get another injection of this magical stuff from a rooster's head that works really good, and get back on. I want to run, I want to walk, and I want to do the resistance training, all of it. I don't want to, and plus my wife and I love to travel. We got to walk a lot of places. So yeah, it's a long story, but it's about just waking the heck up, looking in the mirror, looking on the scale, which I rarely put on. Here's the thing. I didn't put myself on a scale until I traveled. I hated that. And we just went, and I'd put myself on the scale, weigh myself, and then I would pick up the bag of luggage to see the difference, to make sure I'm in 50 pounds or less. Sure. And when I do that first step, I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of figured it would be around there. Okay, I'm getting off this damn thing. Yeah. I honestly thought it'd be a lot heavier than it turned out to be. So I'm like, okay, at least I maintained it for now. So I'm gonna turn that quick. But it's just being aware of where you're at, how you feel. There's no better drug on the planet than working out, because of the endorphins and everything. 2 days
in a row today, baby.
Yeah, it just makes you feel better. I have a quick story where I used to commute to a corporate job, long way from here to Long Beach, long way, 2 hours one way. I would stay with a friend who let me do it. He insisted, because I was staying in a hotel twice a week. He insisted I stay at his house, so I did. we'd go work out at night. But I was so damn tired after the days I'd commute and then work 8 hours. And then we'd get together. I'm not with my family. I'm stressed that I'm not seeing my kids. You want to go work out? I said, no. Why not? I said, I'm too tired. He did the best thing a friend could do. He called me a name. He said, come on, you wuss. I said, well, you don't back down. You don't back down to that.
Wuss. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. And I went and worked out. And in 20 minutes into the workout, I mean, I was dark-eyed raccoon. I was exhausted, dude. But after 20 minutes of being in the gym, I felt better than I had the whole previous week. And I thought, yeah, there's so much truth in working out. No matter what you feel like, it will jack you up in a great way and send you forward. I just got to listen to myself, kick myself in the butt, and get back to a regiment that's better for me, so it can be better for my wife, my dad, and everybody else that's dependent upon me.
Yes. That is so massively important. That's why I asked this question, is that we all need to take it seriously. I got a little lazy last year, put on about 15 pounds, was kind of like, okay. And then of course my brain was like, well, in the new year, then I'll get serious about that. And the God's honest truth, to your point, Brian, I've been going to the gym since I was 18 years old. I've had a gym membership since I was 18 years old. After coming out of homelessness, I got a gym to Holiday Health Spa, which I guess is now LA Fitness, out through all the different transitions. You probably remember Holiday Health Spa. I've been a part of a gym all my life. And there's been 2 times in my entire life where I went to the gym and it was not a good idea. One of them is after a happy hour. I was like, I'm going to the gym. And I still had a decent workout, but it wasn't the greatest idea. And then there was one time I was sick as hell. This was before you were more careful about being around other people. This is, a couple of decades ago. And I was sick, and that was the only 2 times. But there have been so many times where I'm like, I don't feel like going to the gym. I don't want to go to the gym. And then I sit there and I put my coaching hat on. I'm like, if I was coaching somebody right now, what would I say? Yep. And I would say, just go to the gym. Just get to the front door of the gym. If you do 5 minutes, then you can go home. And I've done that with people so many times. I'm like, if you just go to the gym, take a picture of the front door, tell me, then you can go home. And of course, once we get to the gym, we're like, okay, we're going to go inside. I'm going to do 5 minutes on the treadmill. Then you get started, then you're doing 20 minutes on the treadmill. Like, well, maybe I'll just do a few weights. And then all of a sudden you're doing a couple of weights and you walk out and you're like, man, I'm so glad I did that. I've never seen anybody not come back and tell me, Chris, that was such a great idea. I'm glad you pushed me to go do it. Cause I'll just tell them accountability. I'm like, do you have 20 minutes right now? Yeah. I want you to go drive and go to the gym and take a picture in front of the sign. And then that's all you have to do. But if you get there and you decide to work out, then I want you to take a picture on one of the machines and you get bonus points. And inevitably 99.9% of the time they'll be like, oh my God, Chris, I just had to get out of my own way. It's like, just pick up the stuff, walk out the door, put the key in the ignition and go do 20 minutes. And if 20 minutes winds up being 40 minutes, that's the same philosophy I'm applying to guitar. I'm actually playing guitar again. I've got all these guitars around my house. And I told myself, I don't have time to practice and my fingers and all this other stuff. And I sat there and I called bullshit on myself about 2 months ago. And I said, Chris, just practice for 15 minutes. Just pick up the guitar for 15 minutes. Even if you just push your fingers on the strings to get your calluses going, just do that. If you strum a few chords, just do that. I practiced for 15 minutes. I set my Alexa time. I could say that because this one's the other name. Otherwise I say that name and it comes on and says, what would you like? I set it for 15 minutes. And my whole thing is I just got to sit there and strum, hold the guitar, do whatever I got to do for 15 minutes and continue to do that. And God's honest truth, every single day I'm getting a tiny little bit better. Now I sound like shit, not complete shit. So we just have to apply those principles, but we're running it close into time. The other thing I want to talk to you about is your business. So you operate your own business. Talk to us about the name of the business and what it is that you serve. So I'm a customer coming to Brian. What are you going to provide for me and how does that work? What's that relationship like?
Yeah, it's more important than the name of the business than what it does. What it does is I help business entrepreneurs and business owners who have the money but not the time to produce their own live video show from A to Z. Ones like you're doing right now. I mean, people don't realize the amount of time and effort that go into doing it in a high quality manner. And there's the onboarding of guests and how do you determine who you want to come on? What questions are you going to ask? And I built an automation system that takes care of that. And it's repetitive and it works every single time. Once I've been doing it for now 3 years and I still refine it to this day. And so I bring people on so that when they come on to something like this, like we're on right now on StreamYard, is that host, all they have to do is click the go live and be the host and be present and not worry about, hey, are you coming on? Here's the link and all the other stuff that leads up to it that we all have to go through. But they won't have to do any of that. The graphics, the pre-show graphics, the announcements, the spreading of social media, put it everywhere. The post-show, I have 3 stages: pre-show, during show, and post-show. Yeah. I actually have a master class I put on this. It's called Peak Masterclass. For those of you that want to attend that, it's 100% free. I don't sell anything on it. I kid you not. I sell nothing on it. It's about an hour and 10 minutes long. It's coming up on January 20th. That'll be my 24th version of it. So I know what I'm talking about. I do it. This is what I do. And then I also, as part of that automation system, I have a CRM that I also offer. That is basically the cornerstone of all the automations I do. So, and it's extremely inexpensive. But the name of the company is Reach Your Peak. And I brought that up when I was into the fitness scene. That was another excuse of mine, Chris, to be all honest. When I decided to make the shift from Global Fitness Club, which is what it was back when you knew me back then.
I still have the stuff.
Yeah.
It's in my spare room. I swear to God, on my bookshelf.
And when I made that transition, that became an excuse. That became an excuse for me to say, well, I don't have to actually show my clients that I'm doing it, so I can kind of relax on it now. And that started getting worse over time. So the little things that happened, that was my built-in accountability buddy right there was the business. But yeah, the day I decided to part ways with that, and I loved what I was doing, but I found I loved what I'm doing now more. I literally deleted the website and all the videos in one day. Wow. And I did not have zero remorse. So I said, I know that's the right decision.
Beautiful. That's what it's all about right there. Yeah, I actually, now that it dawned on me, I should have brought the products, but then I didn't want to embarrass you. Like, so whatever happened to this, Brian? But yeah, I literally have it in my spare room. I'll take a picture of it after we're done. But man, brother, this has been amazing. I could keep talking to you for hours. I know I'm going to be on your show here soon enough. I got the experience to sign up and see all the automation. So it's beautifully done. Well done, my friend. Where can people get a hold of you? And I know that you have a particular offer you would like to extend to people.
Yeah, Brian Carl Kelly is my handle everywhere on social media, whether it's Brian with an I, Carl with a C, Kelly with no E at the Y. That's Kelly.
They can get a hold of you at Carpet Bomb Management.
Carpet. Oh, there should be a T in there. I probably fat fingered that in. Carpetbombmarketing.com is
I actually, yeah. We'll hear the
so that's just that's a metaphor from the days gone by when you'd see those old World War II flicks where a B-52, a massive bomber's flying over and it's dropping bombs, like lots of them, kind of like a rabbit would drop its poops as it's walking along.
There's an analogy right there. I didn't expect that one coming.
Yeah, and that term is called carpet bombing because it's carpeting the area beneath it, meaning saturating the area, the target. So this is a metaphor to say saturate the marketplace with your message.
Awesome. And they can get a hold of you at reachyourpeak.com.
LLC. Yep.
LLC. Okay. I don't have my glasses on, so I can't.
Was taken, man.
So reachyourpeakllc.com for those people listening on the podcast. And then you have this going on for the audience.
Man, this is what I call an entrepreneur discount house. It started out with just one thing in it. And it's a long story. I won't go through that. But if you go to reachyourpeakclub.com, 100% free membership, you just opt in. And then inside you will get massive discounts to several things. Zoom, as an example, you can get an enterprise level subscription to Zoom, which is the top they offer, 500 seat meeting, 500 seat webinar, unlimited recording to the cloud, transcription of all your meetings, everything's included, which would normally be thousands of dollars a month because they require minimum number. I think it's 10 licenses at a certain rate.
Wow.
For $12.99 a month.
Get out of town. I'm going to go sign up for that.
It's legit. I use it and I don't full disclosure. I do make money on that. Or at least I was told I was supposed to. And I make a whopping 50 cents per month per subscriber. I know I have many and I haven't seen a dime and I don't care. I do it just for letting people have a great resource and not have to pay through the nose for it. And that was through a company that made that deal before the pandemic. And I'm sure Zoom is kicking themselves for it, but they're honoring it. And then I've been using that very thing for several years now. The CRM I talked about is in there. If you get it in the public eye, it's $4.97 a month. In the club, it's $97 a month. It includes everything. I mean, it's like Hootsuite, Calendly, Woofu Forms, web hosting, everything. And it's not Kartra. Please, it's not Kartra. It's
what's Kartra?
Oh, good. I'm glad you haven't heard of it. Yeah, it was everything but the kitchen. I think they threw in the kitchen sink, but it was too much with too little support and backing, in my humble opinion. I don't want to trash people, but it hasn't lived up to it. And it's also ClickFunnels built in, everything. It's an amazing. I've met all three founders of Under the Engine. I also in there is a resource to get VAs. That same company I go through for the equivalent of $4.53 an hour full time. That's who I'm using. I've been using it for almost 2 years now.
Wow,
and
nice.
other resources are in there. The master class is in there. It's a link. It's free. There's a link shortener that is cheaper than Bitly if you get the Bitly paid version. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in there. I call it like the Costco for entrepreneur discount houses without the thousands of products. There's only like 5 or 6.
That's beautiful. I'm going to go check that out. And I have some friends that I could share that to. So I'm definitely going to do that. That's an amazing offer, man. I appreciate you sharing that. For those of you guys listening on the podcast, it's reachyourpeakclub.com, reachyourpeak.club. Let me try that again. reachyourpeakclub.com. Sometimes I'm dyslexic. Oh, Brian Kelly, man, this has been an awesome opportunity to connect with you, man, and have a great conversation. I appreciate you. Your heart shows through everything that you say, everything that you do. I love you. I appreciate you. I can't wait to be on your show. Can't wait to catch up more. I'm going to place you backstage. Don't go anywhere. So I still want to chat with you for a second. Don't go anywhere. I'm just going to close out the show and then we'll end it. But thank you for being here, brother. I appreciate you.
Love you, brother.
Love you too. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, a value-packed episode once again, talking about having a peak mindset, having the ability to sit there and call ourselves out on our excuses, having the ability to sit there and say, hey, when I'm down, what is it that I can do? Hey, can you help me? Just do that. Reach out to your friends, reach out to your family. If you're struggling right now and you're having a bad time or a bad moment, Jock, and you're struggling, reach out to your friends, because your friends are here to help you, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we want to do. Don't you feel bad when somebody's going through something and you wish you could have been there to help them and they didn't call you? Don't you feel like that? That's the same thing. And I have to learn this for myself. I'm putting the mirror up to myself, ladies and gentlemen. You know, we talk about the accountability mirror. I put that right up to myself as well, because we think we're strong and everything. And I'm kind of, admittedly, just to let you guys know, it's not an excuse, but admittedly, I kind of sickly enjoy those challenging moments, because I personally know that on the other side of it, I'm going to be able to come on these shows and share them with you. I've had my own challenges in 2022 with my health and different aspects of things like that, and my own mindset and stuff like that. So when I go through those challenges, I know that I'm going to get through those and be able to come back and help you guys. And so connect with Brian. He's an amazing soul. I've known him for 10 years at least, and go there and take advantage of the offer that he has for you. We'll be posting that in the show notes as well for you guys on the replay to check it out. And we'll be sharing it on Facebook and social media as well. But thank you guys all for being here. We had an amazing conversation tonight. We had Robert in the house. He says, thank you both. We got John saying good one. LOL, because he knows what I'm saying. He knows what he's doing LOL for. We all need a little dose of kick in the ass as well. John says, I stood on the scale and it said to be continued. To be continued. He like, I thought it screamed and said, get the fuck off of me. Yes. Thank you, Robert, for being here. John says here also, Google does penalize AI. That's just so crazy. I don't even want to understand any of that stuff anymore. He says you will never have your energy in it, and that's the missing energy link. Yeah, if you're not going after the things that light you up, ladies and gentlemen, that is super important. So really take to heart what it is that we said here on the show today, and the fact that when you wake up in the morning, if you're not excited about the job you're going to, if you're not excited about the people you're going home to, I used to tell people there's 2 questions in life that you could ask yourself and answer yourself. When you wake up in the morning, am I happy about the place I'm going to and the things that I'm going to be doing? Yes or no? And if that's a no, that's one thing. And then when you're at work and you're doing whatever it is that you're doing, am I happy about the people that I'm going home to? And if you can answer yes to both of those questions, you don't need anything else. If you're happy about the job and the career that you have and the impact that you're making in the world and how you're making your money, and you're happy about the home life that you have, then you have more than most anybody else has in the world. There's so many people out there who are choosing to continue to be miserable, going through those situations, hoping, wishing, and praying that something or someday is going to change, and nothing's going to change until it changes within you, until you get to that point where you say, I've had enough. And trust me, I've been coaching for over 20 years, and I've seen so many people time and time again. They think that something's going to happen, and then they get to that breaking point. We talked about it before. When you're down at your worst, you get to that breaking point. What is it happens then? Then you decide to make that change. Why not make that change right now? Will it be easy? No. Any change like that will not be easy. Changing careers, changing jobs, changing relationships, moving out, getting divorced, whatever it might be, is not easy. God, no, it's not easy. I'm not going to blow smoke up your skirt. No. But on the other side of it, 3 years down the road, will it be worth it? Will it be worth it? Yes. That's that hero's journey. Go check it out. The Joseph Campbell story, Finding Joe on YouTube. It's an amazing investment worth your time. I've had many of my coaching clients go watch it and they come back to me like, wow, that's pretty impactful. So go do that. Don't take shit. Go out there, take care of yourself. We talked about it before. Take care of your sleep, take care of your hydration, drink half your body weight in ounces of water every single day, ladies and gentlemen. Your body is comprised of water. When you're dehydrated, you're going to feel like shit. You're going to make shitty decisions. You're going to go to your short-term gratifications. And ultimately one day you're going to wake up when you're 80 years old and you're going to be like, I really don't like all the choices that I made in my life. Geez, I wish I could do it over. Go read the book, The 5 Regrets of the Dying. The 5 Regrets of the Dying. The hospice nurse sat with these people as they were dying. The number one regret, ladies and gentlemen, was the fact that people lived the life they thought they were supposed to live instead of living the life they truly wanted to live. And that's a waste. That's terrible to think about getting to the end of your journey. I'm already having experiences of that being nearly 54 years old. I know my time's coming. 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, maybe, on average about 20 years when you look at life expectancy. That's pretty scary. So every single day in every single way I wake up, I say what I'm grateful for. I set my intentions for the day. And as I'm going through my day, if I'm feeling shit, I ask myself, did I set the intention to feel like shit today? No. Okay, what did I set my intention to do today? I set the intention to use my words, my actions to make the world a better place. Have I done that yet? No. Okay, go do that. So you just got to continually redirect yourself and keep yourself on that path. You got to be your own best accountability partner, ladies and gentlemen, or you need to go get a no excuses coach. I love you guys. We'll be back here next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I love you guys. As always, go to noexcusescoach.com and check out everything we got going on there. I love you guys. We'll see you here next time on the Raw and Unscripted show.